Get low.
Good afternoon, sir. Hi, everyone.
Yes, good afternoon everyone, and welcome back. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, good afternoon to all of you, and welcome back. I think this is our fifth session in a row, right? And all of you know last time what we have discussed. Am I audible to all of you clearly?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yes, sir. You are.
Okay, good, fine. So last time we know what we were discussing on organizing, right? And I hope all of you followed the concept also, because we almost completed last time. Now this time, what I'm going to do, just a minute. This time, again a small recap of what we did last time. In fact, the PPT is there in front of you. I'll just browse through it, and whatever that comes to your mind, whatever we have discussed, can you just do a recap? Just raise your hand, and keywords. See, again, I don't want the entire lecture to be recapped again, right? Recap in itself means the important points or the highlights we talk about, right? So anybody who can just do a recap, just raise your hand, please. Yes, Rupam is there. Fine, good. Yes, in few words, huh? That is what I want. Yes, Rupam, please go ahead.
Yeah, so we had done the introductory part of organization, and then we proceed with the meaning of the organization, in which we had discussed about the process and the definition, essential relationship among the people and the task, and then we proceed with the importance. Then we proceed with the organizational structure, which include the functional structure and the divisional structure, and then further discuss about the organizational process, in which we had we had seen some kind of steps regarding the determination, coordination, the distribution of the duties and the responsibilities, assignments of authorities, organizing actions, and so on. So these all the things that we had discussed last lecture.
Exactly. Good. Fine. You have summed up the entire PPT. In fact, good. Nice, Rupam. Who else would like to contribute more? In fact, Rupam has covered all the thing, all the part. But few more hands are there. I'll give one chance to who is this? Ilkas Hungund.
Yes, sir, class.
I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Yes.
Yes, sir, yes.
Yes. You can contribute whatever.
Yes, sir. In just few words, we have just discussed about coordination and leadership, why it is important to have a leadership in the organization.
Okay, fine.
And also, yeah, how the entire organization works with and good leadership as well.
Right. And see, this is the definition which we have seen by Pierce and Robinson, right? So this talked about what? Organization is a process of defining the essential relationship amongst the amongst the people, essential relationship amongst the people, tasks and activities in such a way that all the organization resources are integrated. This was a very important definition, and based on this we have seen the importance and all those things. In fact, because we entered into a different discussion at the last, I was not able to show you few small video clips are there. It's hardly of 2 minutes, 3 minutes time. We'll take a look at it, and then we'll be moving to another topic for today, that is staffing, right? I am just going to share those slides with you. In fact, those are the videos, not slides. So just let me know once I share it, whether you are able to see it and whether you are able to hear it properly, right? So I'm going to play this for you.
Hello there, buddy. With a little help from my animated friends, let's find out what organization...
Is it visible and clearly audible?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can hear.
Good. So see, it's a small clip, so as to again it will give us an insight of exactly how this organizational structure looks like. We'll be taking a look at 2 videos, and at the end probably I'll be asking few questions, the way we do all the time, right? Whenever I'm going to play a video, at the end probably 1 or 2 questions may come up from my side, and if you are keenly watching it, keenly observing it, then all of you have answered it. In earlier videos you have answered my question. The same I expect in this session and in the upcoming session. So here we go with our first video.
Organizational structure means. Hello there, buddy. With a little help from my animated friends, let's find out what organizational structure means. Now meet Nancy. She's the Chief Executive Officer, or CEO of Awesome Corp, a company with 35 employees. Well, this is Jim. He's the Chief Operating Officer, or COO, of Awesome Corp. He's Nancy's second in command and reports directly to her. Jim oversees a wide variety of areas, including production, sales, and marketing. Mutlu is the Chief Financial Officer, or CFO. Simply put, he's responsible for the financial health of the company. Nancy, Jim, and Mutlu are Awesome Corp's executive team. But Awesome Corp has more employees than just 3. A lot more. Let's take a look at the financial department. As you remember, Mutlu is the CFO. Now this is his team. Layla is a senior receivables accountant. She manages accounts receivables. That's the money coming into the company from its customers. She makes sure invoices get issued and that Awesome Corp gets paid on time. Well, this is Thomas. He's Layla's peer, meaning that they are likely to receive comparable compensation, and they both report to Mutlu. Thomas's area is slightly different though. Thomas handles accounts payable. That's the money that the company pays to its suppliers and service providers. He also happens to handle the company's taxes. Susan is a procurement specialist. She works with the company's suppliers and partners to make sure the company always has sufficient resources and that service contracts are up to date. She frequently scouts new vendors in order for Awesome Corp to get the best prices. Thomas is her manager. Ahoy, Financial Department! Of course, there are more departments. Together, all these employees from Awesome Corp, decision-making power flows from the top to the bottom, with a greater concentration at the top. All companies are slightly different, but this will give you a solid start. For practice, try sketching out an organizational structure of your company or college. Good luck.
Yes, I hope all of you followed this video. Now my question is, in fact my question is the question which was asked at the very end of this video. Try to draw an organizational structure. In case if you are working somewhere, then you can try to draw it and you can share it next time. And those who are just studying, those who are enrolled, like for example Symbiosis, you can just visualize and draw an organizational structure for your college. That was the question. What have you followed in this particular video?
I believe that we understood how every step matters, and going from the CEO, which is the top, like the head of the whole firm or the organization, how certain people report directly to her, and then there are certain tiers and levels where all are going to report to different people. The manager, for example, for Suzanne here was Thomas, who is not the most head person, but again he's going to fall under the same organization, and it makes it easier to work because they have categorized it in that way. All the departments are going to be functional in an effective way due to this.
Right, good, fine. And what is the keyword? They see they have shown the chart and all those things. The top level was CEO, then down bottom, then CEO.
The organizational structure.
Organizational structure and the flow through which this particular
Top
command,
from
like,
the top. Yeah.
from top to bottom, how that command flow, how that order flow is called as hierarchy, right? That is
Hierarchy.
Hierarchy is the keyword. Okay. We are going to take a look at one more video because this will clear the confusion, like whether CEO or COO, then CFO, all these things are one and the same, or are they different? Because this is used most commonly, right? I'm going to
Chief Executive Officer, the Chief Operations Officer, and the Chief Financial Officer, along with others, form the topmost tier of leadership at any organization. They share certain aspects of their roles, but their functional roles are very different. While this differs from organization to organization, a basic corporate hierarchy structure goes something like this. It begins with executives who work in a team under a manager. This manager is one among many others from different departments. Above the managers come the directors of the different departments. The vice presidents are in charge of those directors. After that comes the other C-suite executives who all report to the CEO. The managing director might work alongside, or could also be positioned above or below the CEO. And finally the board of directors. The CEO is the highest position at an organization and only reports to the board of directors. Their focus spreads across the operations of all departments such as company policies, strategic goals, the performance of other C-suite executives, and the smooth functioning of different departments. The COO is among C-suite executives and reports to the CEO. The COO is in charge of the day-to-day operations of the company that might include operations, marketing, sales, strategy, research, culture. The CFO is also among the C-suite executives and reports to the CEO. They are the highest position for financial matters in the company that include financial management, cutting costs, growing revenue, monitoring the company cash flow, maintaining investor and partner relations. The CEO's position acts as an example for the rest of the company to follow. Their role involves the overall functioning of the company, developing company policies, establishing long-term strategic goals, making big decisions, representing the company internally and externally, liaising with investors, shareholders, and official bodies. The COO is more common in companies that have a high level of operational activities like manufacturing companies. Depending on the type of company and the needs of the CEO, a COO's role may involve overseeing operations, working on the company's goals, establishing company policies, the smooth running of certain departments, the smooth running of the company, carrying out any communication required by the CEO. The CFO is responsible only for the financial activities of the company. They are responsible for all the different financial departments in an organization, such as accounts, budgets, financial reports, investments. The salaries of CEO, COO and CFO are highly dependent on factors such as the size of the company, their own experience, the industry, the kind of company, etc. According to an Indeed report from February 2021, the average base salary in the U.S. for a CEO is $116,890 per year, for a COO is $120,547 per year, and for a CFO is $133,859 per year. While in India, according to a pay scale report from February 2021, the average base CEO salary is 3,003,722 rupees per year. A report from January 2021 says the average base COO salary is 2,502,523 rupees per year, and a report dated February 2021 says that the average base CFO salary is 3,541,126 rupees per year. The CEO, CFO, and COO are all part of the C-suite but hold very different roles and purposes in an organization. While their responsibilities are different, they are all required to be leaders for the employees in the company.
Yeah, that is all for this particular video. Now again the question crops up, and I want the answer from your end regarding. Just a moment. Yeah. Just stop sharing. And again, reshare this thing. Okay. Organization. Yes. So what have you followed in both the videos? Let us sum up for both the videos. Just raise your hand and then you can talk. Second video, first video, yes, Shivangi.
So the first video spoke about the basic structure, whereas the second video went more on the managerial side and the top layer that we have, which is your CEO, COO, and CFO. They form the core of a team and their importance. It doesn't matter which kind of organization we are in, but there will be these three important roles that are always present. Further, the hierarchy may differentiate depending on organization to organization.
Yes, Varun, is there a confusion between the CEO, COO and CFO? Because the salaries and all, if you compare, there was a bit of difference. But it was correlated to what? The type of industry, the size of industry, right? Then exactly what are the roles and responsibility? Varun, yes. Varun, you want to
Yeah. Yeah, sure, sir. I think, the second video actually clarifies the clear differentiation between CEO, COO, and CFO.
Right.
So CEO is like the highest position, and CEO will always report to board of directors, or and the focus is on developing company policies, thinking about the long-term strategies. While COO reports to the CEO. So again, that's part of the hierarchy and the org structure. And similarly, CFO is reporting to CEO, but it's in a highest position in all financial related matters. That includes, cost cutting, managing cash flows, financial reports, investments.
Right. Good. Okay. Akanksha, you want to contribute? I'll ask you one more question once you are through with Akanksha. Yes, Akanksha.
Yeah, so I want to say that Varun is absolutely right, and I believe that this explained us that how the hierarchy works. So it gave us a detail about the flow of the hierarchy, how other people like fall under what category, like the vice presidents, managers, and the most important people that are the CEO, CFO, and CEO. And here we come to know, as relating it to the first video, that organizational structure is all about having the hierarchy, having this certain departments, having certain heads for different departments, so that the work can be done in an easier way and more can be achieved from a less number of man work or people, and work can be done more effectively.
Right. Okay. Fine. I accept all whatever you three have said. My next question is, let us take an example. Let us take an example of a manufacturing firm, right? And let us take an example of a financial institution. These are the two examples. All right. First is a manufacturing firm. It can be anything. It can be automobile. It can be mobile phone itself. It can be two-wheelers. It can be refrigerators. See, the product can be anything, right? So there is one. Yes. There is a. Just a moment. There is one manufacturing firm, and another firm is what? Another firm is a financial institution. For example, let us take an example of SDFC Bank, right? Or SDFC, not SDFC Bank. SDFC is a good example of a financial institution, right? Which are into all sort of financial dealing. From which position? Yes, Ganesh and okay. So I was quoting in front of you two examples. One is a firm which is into manufacturing, and a firm is into a financial institution, right? It can be any bank, or it can be a financial institution. See, there's a difference between SDFC and SDFC Bank, right? So I hope all of you know the difference. SDFC Bank purely deals in what? Banking operation, whereas SDFC are into what? Financing, housing loans, and all other things, right? So which position will be more important for a firm? For example, let us take an example of Tata Motors, and another I've quoted as SDFC. Out of this CEO, COO, and CFO, which position will be more important in first case, and which will be more important in second case? You raise your hand and just let me know your answer. Just a minute. Yes, Varun has already answered. Abhishek, you want to answer?
Sir, I would say that irrespective of the nature of the industry, right? Like I still feel that the CEO's role would continue to be the same across the thing, but because that's a position which will still drive the strategy, either of the types of organization.
Fully agree. Yeah, I'm fully with you. Yes. What about the other two positions in first example and the another example?
Chief Operating Officer, and so COO and the CFO, you said, right?
Yes. See, this is what the video is talking about, and those are at part as good as the position they are at. Many of the time they might be sitting along with CEO also, and you have correctly pointed out, no matter whatever the organization is, the chief executive officer is accountable for. Executive means what? He is there to run the firm. He is there to run the enterprise. So whatever the firm is into, he will be made accountable. He is supposed to report to board of directors. That is what we have seen, and that is what happens in almost all the organization. I'm saying professional organization. Family-run business, the thing may be different. We all know that. But Abhishek has rightly said CEO no matter what. But what about these two positions, COO and CFO? Taking
Chief Operating chief operating officer, I think, may have like a slightly higher weightage of, slightly higher weightage in a manufacturing space maybe, and a CFO would be like perhaps a little bit more prominent role in a financial institution. But again, I will still, I'm just inclined to think that if you look at these individual roles, right, like irrespective of what industry they are, I think they will still continue to do their own functions. Is my thought on this.
Yeah, see, again, you have just watched out of my question. Anyway, I'll take it 100% because no matter, again, see, they do have their own position and they cannot be interchanged, that is for sure, right? आप बोलोगे चलो आज CFO absent है तो the CEO will go and sit on that position, which is not correct, and he won't be able to do justice. But see, whenever there are a lot of operation I mean to say, it can be, the operation can be in terms of services also, right? Not necessarily manufacturing, right? So COO and CFO are again, they do have their own position, they do have their own responsibility and accountability, and they do have their own authority. Even if it is not a manufacturing firm, there are operations in banking also, financial institution. See, that is why I've asked this was sort of a googly question, because operations necessarily do not mean operation of manufacturing. I think I have clarified it in earlier classes. Let me clarify it again. Operations are related to what? Product. Product can be a physical good, or it can be services also. Services like banking operation, when we say COO is again important with the financial institute, the way he or she is important with the manufacturing firm. Same goes with CFO in a financial firm, because see, their role may be limited in nature, but they are very important from that particular domain. So correctly answered, Abhishek. Good. So that means all of you are following it, and do all other agree with what I and Abhishek discussed right now? Just raise your hand. If you agree, and if you do not, then you can unmute yourself and just challenge what Abhishek has said. Yes, all. Yeah, very good. All of you are agree. I'm to say 5 of you are there. Shivangi. See, one who do not believe in this.
So I have a question here.
Yes.
Iqbal here.
Yes, go ahead.
So are these positions also required in the company as per law, or you just have to create these according to the size and requirement of the company?
Yes, see, that is what that video was saying. There is no what you can say is compulsion from the government, or legal compulsion is there. See, this is what we are talking, organization, right? And organization itself means we have to set the things right in terms of resources, in terms of responsibility and accountability, who is going to do what, who is going to report to whom, and it is all part of organization. There is no compulsion as such, right? And the organization has to be organized, otherwise there will be a chaos. This is what we have seen. Opposite of organization will be what? It will be chaotic in nature. People won't be knowing for what exactly they are being recruited, what is their role. So there is no legality involved, right? See, all the position can be created and depends on the size of organizations also, type of organization. एक छोटे organizations के लिए maybe a proprietor firm, for example, it is the owner himself is the CEO, CFO, all sort of role the owner plays, because it's a proprietor organization where the owner itself is making what? Is making all sort of arrangement, or is organizing all the things for himself or herself. So it depends on the organizational structure as to how many. Yes.
I can quote a small example, right? Like for my organization, I work with Dell Computers.
That is what we want, Abhishek. Yes, go ahead.
So in our organization, I mean, I've been working here for a while, right? Like I think in the very early days, way back in 2004 or 5, we actually used to have 2 CEOs, right? Michael Dell and Kevin Rollins. And what happens is like, and this is pretty much like our understanding over the years, is that usually they can create multiple CEO positions like co-CEOs and all that stuff. Most often it happens as like a sort of a succession plan. So for example, if like one CEO is like probably getting back into like just board responsibilities, they will kind of just bring in another person so that they get acquainted like with the day-to-day running, and both of them operate like as co-CEOs, and then one kind of relieves that position at a later point in time. So I think that depends upon like the the focus of the organization at that point in time, and like perhaps their succession planning. currently, again, like after so many years, we still have like, we have like 2 chief operating officers like at this point in time. Again, so one is kind of critically, significantly focusing on the strategy, and one is actually focusing on the day-to-day operations. So the current arrangement is like that. We don't know why the 2 positions exist today, but it could be another succession planning for all you know. That they might want to like elevate.
That may be a
But that's not official, obviously. They'll never expose that, but that's not official. But we have 2 chief operating officers.
Right, fine. See, it entirely depends on the organization how they want to run that enterprise. Simple as that. There can be multiple CEO, like as Abhishek has pointed out, but only precaution the organization has to take is the accountability has to be clear, right? Authority, accountability, and responsibility. These are the keywords. There should not be role clash. Then that will create a problem. Like whether I have to report to both of them, or for such matter I have to report to one particular CEO. Or for convenience, they can change the name also. Because designation is only for convenience of the organization, right? CEO will always be on the top. You can have multiple CEOs, but that might create a problem. But Abhishek has rightly pointed out that may be a succession planning, so as to train that particular person under the leadership of the current CEO. So the purpose can be anything. But the question that was asked was whether it is legal binding. So see, how to run an organization is none of the business of the government or none of the business of the judiciary, right? कि ऐसा ही structure होना चाहिए. It depends what are my products, how long I have expanded myself, whether I am restricted to a particular company or country, or I am multinational, right? Multicultural, multinational organization. Then probably you might have CEO for one country and another CEO for another country, right? So it depends. See, that is the purpose. See, why we are discussing this organization is we should be organized. Simple as that. The meaning of organizing is you have to put everything in proper perspective so that people know what exactly they are supposed to do. So there should not be at any given point of time duplication of work, duplication of role, and the hierarchy should be made clear कि ये बंदे को इसको ही जाके रिपोर्ट करना है, right? For such and such thing, or maybe for financial matter you might have to go and report not to the CEO but to CFO, right? Things related to operations, it should be made clear from the organization that I have to report to CEO only. So that's why we have studied those manuals and all those things. The charts and manuals will clarify the accountability, responsibility, and authority. So if these things are clear, then and then only we can say the organization is truly organized in its nature, right? So many a time there are role clashes also. That is part of OB, organizational behavior. That is not directly the content of our syllabus, for at least for this particular subject. But in future you will be studying that also. That is more from the psychological point of view. If there are duplications and if there are clashes, how to resolve it. That is also called as conflict resolution. So that will be studying afterwards. But things are, I hope that this clarifies, this discussion clarifies most of the doubts and things. Anybody who is having still doubt in this particular discussion, just raise your hand and unmute yourself. In case if you do not have, then we'll move further with another discussion on staffing. Are we clear up till now? All of you? Fine. Yes. Prajna.
Yeah, sir, clear.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm clear, sir.
Okay, good, fine.
Yeah.
So let us move then to our next topic. I'll take it to that also. It is called as staffing. Is the slide visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But old slide.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Old slide, yeah.
Just a minute. I'll try to reshare it to all of you. Yes, here we go. See, this is another unit. I think this must be your what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth unit. The syllabus is not in front of me, but this is again one of the important topic. when we talk about the functions of management, right? We have seen postgrad, but the 5 important functions are what? Planning, organizing. We always start with planning, organizing, staffing, then what? Leading or directing, right? And controlling. These are the 5 basic functions apart from what Luther Gulick has given. Taylor has given these 5 particular, because see, this slide will make it clear once we move further. No, not this one. Functions of management, that I have already shared. Did all of you are having this link with you? I have already shared that link with Komal. Komal, are you present here?
Yes, sir. I am present and I have shared it.
We got
everyone.
it.
Yeah, can you share it in the chat box? The link, just the link, so that those who are here.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Yes, sir. I'll do that.
I am sharing this link for almost all the PPTs or PDF which I have prepared for your upcoming lectures, as well as for the lectures we have already done. Maybe there might be certain variation in few of the PPTs, because I have made it afresh for all the sessions. I would say consistency has been followed, so uniformity has been followed. So what you have to do is you can just go through it whenever our sessions are there. You just make it a point that you go through that particular PPT, and in advance itself you can pinpoint out the problems or doubts you are having, right? So I was talking about what? The functions of management, and postcard, POSD, CORP, we have already discussed, but the 5 basic principles are there in your syllabus. Planning, organizing, staffing, directing or leading, you can also call it, and the last one is controlling, which obviously controlling is again very important function from the point of view of feedback, because it will compare the standard set or the target or the goal or the objective which you have decided with whatever is being accomplished, right? Whatever is being achieved, and this will act as a feedback loop to the first step, that is planning. So let us move ahead with this particular PPT. Staffing. See, this is the introduction part. What exactly is staffing? Staffing is a process of hiring eligible candidates in the organization or company for specific position. This is a very small and sweet introduction. In management, the meaning of staffing and operation of the staffing is an operation of recruiting the employees by evaluating their skills, knowledge, and then offering them the specific job role accordingly. Whatever their job profile is there, the company will try to match their job, their skills set, knowledge, and all those things, the individual profile with the job profile. So it is matching the right person to the right kind of job and at the right time. That is again very, very important, because if you are not able to recruit on correct time, then probably you may become understaffed, right? Or if you are not planning for future, you may at a point of time become overstaffed also. Both the situations are not in favor of the organization or the enterprise. So let us discuss this is the definition. Staffing can be defined as one of the most important functions. As I said, out of 5 functions, the basic functions, staffing comes at 3rd. Once you plan, once you organize, you know how many positions has to be filled, how many people you need in a particular department. Maybe you may reposition few of them. If a certain department are overstaffed or overcrowded, you may reposition them. At a certain point of time, you may ask for exit policy also. You can give exit policy. Because most of the professional organizations, they do it. If they feel that a certain department is overstaffed, they'll ask for exit policy. They'll compensate you to exit, right? They'll help you out in exit. It can be repositioning also. It involves the process of filling the vacant position of the right personnel at the right job and at the right time. Hence, everything will occur in the right manner. So, staffing is going to aid to organization, right? Once you have planned, you have organized, then to make organization set up the organization or help the organizing function properly, staffing is required. And these are the 7 sub-functions of staffing. I would say these are the important functions of staffing. That is manpower planning. I will directly take you to the chart. See, fine. fine. Let us take this function. Manpower planning, then manpower development, fixing the employee standards, sources from where to recruit, selection and placement, training and other functions, which is like small functions of like record maintenance, rating of the employee, that is performance appraisal and motivation. And this is why the staffing is important. Because staffing is important because it will help you in optimum or maximum utilization of the resources. It is going to add to the efficient management function. Personal development to meet company's future requirement, personnel, right? And staff morale and motivation. These are few of the basic importance point, right? But let me take you to the process of staffing. See, this is how ideally the process of staffing takes place in most of the organization. First thing you have to do is what? You have to plan out the manpower planning. You have to decide how much employees you need for the present, and what will be the projection for the coming time. It can be 1 year, it can be 2 years, and it can be 5 years. Accordingly, you do the job analysis, right? Once you have sorted out that you need 20 members or 20 employees to work for marketing department and 5 to work for HR, you will try to do a job analysis, job profiling भी उसको बोलते हैं अपन कि exactly marketing में 20 लोग लग रहे हैं तो how many will be marketing executives, how many will be marketing managers. So you have to define their roles also. Out of 20, whether 2 will be managers or 3 will be managers. So it depends on your requirement. It depends on the organizational setup. Then you actually go for recruitment. Unless until you do job analysis, exactly what is the profile you want to be there, you cannot go for recruitment. You have to know in advance that what exactly is the requirement, right? If you are not aware about it, you cannot give an advertisement. You cannot move ahead with the process of recruitment. Recruitment is a process and selection is something where you actually recruit the person. So recruitment and selection may look like an overlapping process, but they are two different processes. Recruitment is a very broad process, whereas selection is actually taking interview. It can be through series of aptitude tests, series of personal interviews, 1 round, 2 round, 3 round. It depends what sort of position you are hiring and how urgent you want to fill that position. And numbers of factors will come into picture. And once you have selected, you are going to place that particular employee, right, particular recruiter in that particular position. That is nothing but placing him or her there. Like if you have recruited for HR, you will showcase or you will put her or that particular person in that position. That is nothing but placement. Induction is like orienting the employee in terms of everything, inducing him or her into the organization so that he comes to know the norms, the rules, regulation, the culture, all sort of things related to the organization, and he or she feels comfortable and feels like he or she is a part of that particular organization. So this entire process is also called as orientation or inducing that particular employee into the organization, bringing him at par with whatever people who are working for so many years. Maybe somebody is having 5 years of experience or 10. So you have to make him feel comfortable in terms of everything, cultural, non-cultural sort of things. If some things is missing, then it is job of the HR department or staffing department to train and develop those things also. Like if few technical skills are missing, then you have to train that person on that. Few conceptual skill may be missing, then again you have to rework on that. Interpersonal skills are also there, which are needed by the managers. So things can be done that way. Do a performance appraisal. Find out whether now that person is really fit to perform his or her duty, and then compensate accordingly, right? Compensate in terms of what? In terms of incentives, financial and non-financial, and all those things, and then promotion. What will come afterwards? Once he is doing his job, he may be promoted, he may be transferred, so as to suit further the organizational requirement. So this is what goes in a staffing, not a thumb rule as such, but many a times a few of these steps may be skipped also. But you have to remember this sequence, right? I hope all of you getting me. Abhishek?
Sir, yeah, I have I mean, I can follow the process as it is, right? It's a very common process, but I never understood like why this is like a part of staffing that is like beyond induction for that matter. Like if he's placed,
Right.
does that like not where staffing ends, and then like the other things okay, even induction and orientation that happens, right? And then you do your training and development to train the professional for job specific stuff and things like that, right? But performance appraisal, compensation, promotion and transfers are very operations related activities, isn't it? Or
Yes, I'm getting you.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's induction. It's all about that they are giving an introduction all over the company and the department and particular organization, because each and every organization differ by their organization and by their departments. So induction is a process where they used to introduce each and every department basis on what kind of work they are doing, what kind of things they will do. So every newcomer, whether he or she is experienced or not experienced, it is compulsory to induct themselves. And training and development is regarding the if she needs some KT or something from other or ex-employee or something like a process of training or for the particular department he or she had selected for. So that is a compulsory procedure in each and every organization, and that should be to get an overview.
so my point was. So I'm sorry, my point was not like the the relevance of like these activities. I completely understand induction, T&D, and appraisal and all that, right?
Yes.
But I just don't see like these to be necessarily a part of staffing ideally, right? Because
May I interject?
Actually, sir, Abhishek ji, the point is that people don't understand whether the organization is doing what is doing. By going to the website, people are not getting that. That's why I guess.
No, I get the process of induction, all of those things. No challenges at all, right? That is a mandatory process, right?
May I help?
Abhishek, I would like to add certain thing. See,
okay, sure.
See, this is, as I said, it is not a thumb rule as such, first thing, right? Ideally it should go this way. But see, staffing in itself is a HR function. Staffing is done by whom? With consultation with particular managers. Like for example, if I want to recruit somebody in marketing department, obviously HR people they have to take the responsibility. They have to take the onus of doing it, but in consultation with the marketing manager, obviously, right? So few aspects of marketing may come into picture, but it is compulsorily a HR function, which may include people from other department also, important heads. We call them heads also. Managers की जगह अपन बोल सकते हैं कि marketing department के head ये है, तो they will be also be part of it. So as to what? So as for doing the job analysis part. This is very important. But compulsorily it will be a HR function. And as you said, staffing is, we should not take this word literally. Staffing is not only staff, it includes all these activities which are needed for a proper organized staff, right? Proper organized department, sub-departments also we can take it. So the question which Abhishek asked was staffing and these are not the only function that may come into picture. These are not the only functions. Functions like what? Functions like handling grievances, grievance redressal is again one of the thing which may not, which you might not find in staffing, but it is again part and parcel of it. Maybe like for promotion and transfer, it may be linked over here. For compensation also, you might have to listen to few of the grievances if somebody is not compensated properly. So there are multiple subset of all this process which will go hand in hand with this basic function, basic process. Abhishek, I hope I am clear with your question.
Yes, I mean, but like my only I have absolutely no doubt, or I'm not contesting saying this should be the order, 100%, right?
Yes.
That is just the way it flows, right? But I'm just saying like items after, I would say even training and development, all right, like maybe staffing, right? But like all this last four functions is like perhaps nothing to do with like an HR function. Very limited. Like they will have some inputs and all that for no sure, right? But I think it's all an operations related activity. So I'm just like a little mixed, right? When we say it's a process of staffing that also includes compensation, promotion and transfer and all those things.
I'm getting what you're saying.
Yeah.
See, in fact, we can add one more thing also, like what? Retirement and exit policies,
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Staffing is a continuous process. It starts when we need someone for a job profile, and it doesn't complete. It keeps on going when that person leaves the organization because of any reason, and then we have to replace that right person for the right job.
Exactly. So it's
So
a
it's a
continuous. It moves in a
yes.
loop. In
You
fact,
can consider it
yeah.
in this way, Abhishek, that this process is basically following up with the person you have selected or got placed, and looking forward that that position always stays occupied and does not get disturbed, so that it does not disrupt the whole organizational structure.
Yes, very true. See,
Sounds good. Yeah.
this is more of a bookish sort of thing, but this can be put in a loop also. Like Rupam, who was she? Rupam, you were talking.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, in a loop, yes, it indeed makes sense. Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's an HR
If I just
process.
put it in a loop, because see, promotion and transfer are not the only thing which will create openings. It may be retirement, right? It can be like compulsory exit policy, which the organization is planning for. It may be due to attrition. People are leaving job because they are getting better opportunities. So once the vacancy is created, again you have to move back to your manpower planning. Yeah, abhi kitni requirement? Earlier it was only 2 people. Now yesterday only 3 people have left from IT department. Now the manpower planning will change. You have to now look out for 5 people because 2 requirement was already there, 3 have left, and maybe 1 have retired. So it can be anything. And this process will be, see, organization itself is immortal. We all know it. It's not going to die unless and until it is compulsorily that is a legal thing. When you want to do the winding up, भी बोलते हैं उसको कि आपको बंदी
I would like to add one more point, sir.
Yes.
This is the exact reason why companies have policies. Like they do not allow you to exit before 3 months of your prior information.
Yes.
Because doing this whole process is going to again take a hell lot of time, and they have to again recruit certain methods for compensating for whatever is going to get disrupted. So that's the reason we have this month policies where you have to inform prior so that they can compensate for your loss, a manpower loss.
Exactly. And see, yeah, exactly, Akansha. Because see, this process is going to cost company a lot, and this has nothing to do directly with the sales or the revenue that is going to be generated. That is going to be the outcome of all this process. But this process will require certain manpower to handle the entire thing. It will require the company's resources also, and that's why there are probation period. That's why many companies call it bonds also. If we are going to train you, then it is for sure 6 months you cannot leave us, because we want to recover our investment. Because see, they are investing on you as an employee. There are many companies, they invest for years times also. We want the person, and that is where this training and development comes into picture. They want to see to it that the job profile should exactly match the individual profile. As chances is there they might not get the correct person every time. So that's why this department, and it's part of HR only. Maybe, as I said, few people from other domain may be involved. It depends on what sort of job profile we are talking on. कोई marketing के लिए कोई चाहिए somebody, if the marketing department is recruiting somebody for digital marketing, then obviously the job profile will be different than what it is required for operations, right? And if the skill sets or if the qualification is not matching, or there is a bit of deviation, then that can be compensated. That can be made by the company. That particular person can be trained on that particular aspect. Rigorous training can be given. It can be in-house training. It can be off-the-job training. There are again types of trainings also, types of development methods also. So all this thing is definitely going to cost all sort of resources like time, then whatnot. The people teams which are working on this process. So it's a continuous process. Till the day the organization is going to be there, this process is going to take place, and it is applicable to all the 5 functions of management. Planning is not an end itself, right? That is what we have seen. Organizing, again, it's all day-to-day activity. You have to organize every day. You have to organize for the financial year. You have to organize for short-term goals, for long-term goals. So all these 5, this is what you have to remember. Even though chart may look very hierarchical in nature or smooth flow chart sort of thing, but it is moving in a loop. This is what you have to remember. Okay. Let us.
Also,
Yes,
sir, can I add something?
Yes,
A little
definitely,
something.
definitely.
It will be really helpful for everyone.
Yes, please.
See, we see this process from an employee perspective, and we demarcate like this. This is an HR function. This is operations function. But if we see it from the organization's perspective, they have made a flow chart. They have made an organization hierarchy. They need people for certain roles. So they start this activity when they incorporate or start the organization, and it goes on till the company goes on, or as long as the company exists. They need those people to take care of the responsibilities of that position and make sure that the cycle keeps on going till the organization functions. It can include different departments, but it has a certain requirement for the organization's perspective.
So it see plenty of factors comes into picture, and there is nothing like thumb rule for management, right? Tatas are doing this way, so even if I start doing it, I'll become a Tata. No, sorry. Every organization have their own culture. Every organization have their own set of rules. Every organization have their own mission and vision statement. And if somebody wants to duplicate it, somebody wants to copy it, just whose mic is on?
Lakshmi.
Lakshmi, mute yourself. Fine, I've done it. So see, that is what I'm trying to say. We cannot see, you cannot imitate. Otherwise, some Tatas ban jate the. Because see, most of the things are open. It is not hidden. Like norms, culture. You can understand. What goes in Tata may not be going in the Reliance, right? And if I just keep on imitating, then what? I can become Reliance one day, Ambani, or for that matter Tata, but it is not practically possible because it is a continuous process. Every day, every minute you are doing it, and it is practically impossible to imitate the entire process. That's why it is said all organizations are entities in themselves. They are unique. The way we individuals are unique. No two individuals are equal. Even the twins, they have certain different characteristics or traits which are exhibited. तो भले दो twins में काफी सारी similarity होंगी, but there do exist certain differences also, deviation also, we can call it in our terminology, right? And somebody has pointed out at this placement. Who was that? Did you follow this placement? Placement, see, देखिए, from management point of view, management school point of view, placement is like getting placed, right? हम बोलते हैं ना, how is the placement of Symbiosis? How is the placement of Narsimunji? Here the placement, the meaning is a bit different, right? Even though you can correlate it with the placement. How much was the placement of that particular school or particular institute, business institute? Here placement means placing, after selection, placing that person on that, literally meaning putting him in that particular chair, placing him there, giving him the offer letter and asking him to join is something we can take it as a placement. And once he is there, then you try to induce your culture, you try to brief that person about the norms, cultures that are governing the organization, so that everybody moves in a same direction to achieve the organizational goal. So that is the purpose. Let us move for the further. This is the concluding part, and just read the first sentence, and we can have a discussion if you want to. It is a duty of every manager to perform the staffing. See, that is what we are discussing. It is not an only duty of HR, even though these are all HR functions, but all managers, no matter which domain the manager is belonging to, they have to perform the staffing activities such as selection, training, performance appraisal, and counseling of the employees. In many enterprises, personnel department is created to perform these activities, right? See, many a time that few of the organization may not have personnel department at all, because it depends on which types of organization you are working on. Maybe this role may be delegated as an additional responsibility to somebody, but ideally large organizations do have this HR department, personnel department भी बोलते हैं इसको, right? Personnel, not personal, right? Personnel department. But it does not mean that manager at different level are relieved of their responsibility concerned assisting to the the manager in performing their staffing function. Thus, every manager has to ensure the responsibility of staffing. And that's why this function is very important. All the managers should be knowing this process. How should be the new recruit be comfortable? How do they first of all find out whether do you need additional manpower, and if you need it, then you may be following these steps. As I said, you can skip few of the steps.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Rita Agrawal. Yes. You want to contribute? Fine. So this is how we conclude with staffing. It's again looks very simple function, but it is more complicated when you actually start doing it, because fitting this right person, knowing who exactly is right, is not an easy task. It requires what psychological understanding of that person. You have to know exactly how good he is, all those skills, whatever skills you are looking out for. That is the right job. And doing it correctly, doing it rightly is not at all very easy, because you are dealing with humans. Humans are not machines. And knowing each and everybody, knowing their strength and weaknesses, knowing their psychology, knowing their attitude towards life, right? All these factors will come, knowing their communication, plenty of psychological factors are going to come into picture, and that's why many a time the HR people are also fail, because they perceive the person to be something else, but once the person joins the organization, they find out that the HR department has been fooled. That person is not having those qualities. So no, it is not only this what we have discussed. Manpower planning to आप कर लोगे, job analysis भी आप कर लोगे. What about this recruitment and selection? It's a very difficult task, and that's why there are HR department. And many times if HR departments are not there, then things are outsourced. If the company feel they are not good, they don't have that extra edge in this particular area, they leave it to what placement agencies, then recruiting agencies are there. They may take help of the references also. Many a time people are recruited based on the references, because I know the person, I know the inside, what exactly that person is, so that this job becomes very easy. Recruiting, placement and induction, training and development. Because what if beforehand I am knowing that person, I know his inner ability, I know his inner strength. So references are also taken into account. कि मैंने इसको refer किया है, now that will be my responsibility to see to it that he perform for whatever purpose that person has been recruited. So it's a very complex function of the management. काफ़ी आसान लगता है फ्लो चार्ट में कि यार ये स्टेप तो फॉलो करने हैं, but it requires plenty of skills on the part of manager to understand the process entirely and to do the right thing at the right time, that is selecting the right person at the right time. So all of you, I hope all of you agree with me with whatever I've said just now.
Excuse me, sir. So sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, go ahead.
I have a question regarding compensation. Does compensation means increment in salary and all of that?
Yeah, see, I'll answer it. See, compensation many a time what we literally perceive is see, they have compensated me. I had suffered a loss. This is usually this word is used. Many times practically also it is used. Compensate me for my loss. Right? Many a time we use it very commonly. Compensate for my loss. Here compensation means whatever efforts I'm putting for the organization, the company should appropriately compensate for my efforts, for my duties and responsibility which I have performed. That is the actual meaning of compensation.
Sir.
Compensating for what? Compensating for your efforts, compensating for the job you are doing. Right?
That means salary only, right?
So,
Exactly.
one point to add.
Yes.
So, compensatory of there is one compensatory of process in which when you work for holidays, company gives you compensatory of that. So that also comes in compensation part, right?
This is all part of compensation only. It can be financial
So
compensation.
staffing is a part of all the departments, not only the HR department, right? Because each department manager provides some job vacancies that they have to the HR department or
That is
some
what
department.
the last slide talks about. See, compensation
Yes.
necessarily not be decided only by HR. It is not only HR function or personnel department function. The compensation can be decided by, for example, marketing department. The marketing manager will decide कि इसने इतना sale किया, they have achieved the target. Now they need not consult the HR department at all. They'll have a formula. If you have achieved this much of target, then
So staffing, yes. So they have KPIs and everything on which they perform these tasks.
Exactly.
Right.
See,
Key performance indicators they have.
Yes. I think you are following it. But don't get confused. See, this slide makes the things very, very clear. It is not only HR function, even though they are the basic function of HR, but you have to take into confidence each and every heads, all the heads of all the domains. And accordingly, you have to decide on the final plan. And once it is decided, you can leave it to the individual department also. They can, on their own, decide on this compensation, particularly talking on the compensation. Now, here are the two self-assessment questions. I want one, see, you have to raise the hand and you have to, if you are giving the answer, then you have to explain why that answer is right according to you. Who can do the job for me?
Yes, sir.
First question, first question, if you want to answer, then just read out the question. Let me give a chance to Devesh. Devesh, you just read out the first question and give me the answer. The answer is very simple.
Yes, in staffing function, which one of the following groups of managers is involved? Only top managers, only human resource managers, only middle managers, and D is all managers. So according to me, it is all managers.
Good.
Because staffing is a part that is a process that takes place in every department.
Yeah.
So according to me, it is the responsibility of all managers.
Excellent. Let us freeze that answer, D, right? All managers. Because the last slide itself, concluding slide, was saying that it is not only HR function, it is not only the personal department. You have to take into discussion, or you have to take into confidence the all managers, particularly, as I said, like if the marketing domains is involved and somebody from marketing you are looking out for or you are working on, then definitely that head of the marketing will be there. So the answer is correct. The answer is what? All managers. Who is going to read out?
Yes. In addition to this,
Ridha, me, Sami.
I'm not reading the answer. I'm just answering the first question only. In addition to this, like even TL can ask for personnel for like assistants or some other personnel. So it is not a part of managers only. It is a part of TL as well. Supervisors, they can also hire people. They can ask managers to hire people.
That role is also all managers, right? That gets consumed in the term of all managers.
Supervisors.
Managers, why we are talking managers? Because managers do have that onus, that accountability, that responsibility to look after
That ownership, right?
Yes.
Fine. Ridha.
Okay, so in staffing function, which combination of activities in sequential order is correct? Recruitment, according to me, the answer is option C, recruitment, selection, placement, and then training.
Right. Good. Excellent. That means all of you are following it. In one go, you are answering it. And recruitment, this is what the slide says. Recruitment, selection, what was there? Recruitment, selection, placement, and training.
Placement and training.
Recruitment, selection, placement, and training.
So again,
yes.
I'm sorry. Like there are some. I mean, this is definitely like how we should remember this, right? But just an example, right? There are some organizations who do the recruitment, they do a training, and then they do an assessment, and then they kind of finalize selections and make a placement.
According to me, that's a very lengthy process. Like
it is. No, it is. But like I think they just. So what happens is like after recruitment and selection, when they do training, sometimes like it's a validation of whether they kind of got the right people or not. Like I said, it is just a practice held by certain organizations, not necessarily every organization.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, Abhishek, bit of deviation may occur, but ideally theoretically, see why only theoretically? Because unless and until what is recruitment, as I said, recruitment involves everything, like placing the advertisement, or it can be through references also. So just knowing the sources, right? Knowing the sources, and selection is something, the process itself, right? Process of like taking interviews. This has to be followed. This two sequence has to be there. And what will be third? Third is obviously placement, not immediately training. because once you select, you would like to want that person to sit on that particular chair or occupy that position, not physically sitting on that chair, but occupying that position. That is nothing but placement, right? And after that, training may come or it may not be required also. But this is the sequence which is ideally followed. Not this one which is very close to what Rida has said to see. Here training they are saying first and after that placement. No. Unless and until you put that person in that that position, you will never come to know whether the training is required, because you have
Sir,
to
I'll give you a small example, right? Like there are some organizations where you have to recruit in mass, right? What happens in those cases is like you may find some candidates who are trainable, right? You will have to like give them, so they will have like say about 50-60% of the skills, but like that last 40% can be bridged, and they kind of offer training for such people so that they can be placed in their regular, right? So that's why they kind of put them on like a probation sort of a thing.
Exactly, probation.
So that do that, yeah.
So this is more like for BPO.
Yeah, that's right. For BPOs, this process is followed.
Because before that they are trained, then they are given opportunity. On-job training is there. Then afterwards they
go through like a certification sort of thing.
BPO is the purpose is
Abhishek, I got your question. Yes, all of you. Abhishek, see, giving training, what you are saying is like recruited. You're doing the recruitment process and you're selecting, and immediately you are giving the training. But training in itself requires that the placement has to be done. You have to clarify the role of that particular recruitee, right? The person whom you have recruited. Unless and until placement is done, I am to say, unless until the job profile is clear, you cannot train them. So it is.
So may I add something?
Yes, who is that?
Shivangi,
yes, please.
Yeah, so Abhishek, adding to your point, even if you follow the process of recruitment, selection, training, placement, there is still going to come training once again, because XYZ department will have to train that person once again to understand the nuances of their department. So in that way, whether you go training, whether you go recruitment, selection, training, placement, training, or you can simply recruitment, selection, placement, training. So it's a shorter route.
See, logically you can.
Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways. Like, I mean, again, I mean, I think I don't want to confuse anybody, right? I think let's stick with the option C. But like, it's just like in practical purposes, right? I mean, in a practical scenario, I've seen a lot of these combinations.
Deliberation has to be there. See, it's not only because I am saying you have to follow me. It's not at all necessary, right? We have to challenge certain things. And nothing wrong in challenging it. कि मैं आपको पढ़ा रहा हूँ तो I'm not a god at all, right? I'm not carrying this. I'm not having something which is very unique that you people do not know. In fact, many things you might be knowing better than me. Means I'm not challenging anybody of you. But good habit of going in. See, don't be desperate that I am the winner, right? That strategy is not good for anybody. That is one strategy, and that will not take you any places. You have to always see. I like this environment which you people create. Let us put a question mark and then just get side away. Let other people discuss. Because deliberation, as I said, discussion and deliberation has to be there. So I has to thoroughly follow the things. Otherwise, तो ठीक है सर ने बोल दिया ऐसा है तो फिर ऐसा. It is not like that. You have even I have to justify, and if you are giving the answer, you are supposed to justify how it is correct. It is not the चारों में से तो एक answer बराबर है. We all know that one answer is correct, but how it is correct is more important, right? I hope all of you agree with me. Do you or not?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
I think it's just another perspective, right? Like option C is the most logical one, utopian, because if everything is right, then RS, recruitment, selection, placement, and training, and you're done. Right. But I think like in some industries where like you may need a lot of people at a short time, and like HR also would like to push a lot of people, right? Exactly. They will probably say, hey, listen, expedite your training. Let's bring training in advance so that you can get more people in place, and like it may not be a very intense skill or something of that sort that is really required. Right. I think if you look at like a lot of these people, like if you call in Airtels and all that stuff, right? I mean, their customer service and stuff like that, right? These people may not necessarily be like going through like the best of training and stuff like that. They want people to be available there to manage their service levels. So I think in the long future, for all this might just change as a paradigm. So that's all.
See, because most of the options seems to be correct. When it comes to MCQ, you can defend like the first question. I can say in staffing function, which of the following groups of managers are involved? I can justify these only. Only human resource managers are involved. To a certain extent, it is not wrong, right? But the ideal answer is all managers. The way we have taken this, right? So the question says in staffing function, which combination of activities in sequential order is correct? I would say sequence has to be correct. That is important. See, unless and until you bring that person to organization, I would say placement. Placement means you have to give an offer letter. You cannot start without giving an offer letter. Offer letter in itself means selecting and placing, right? And once the offer letter is given and once he accepts that offer, that means he is now placed. Only selection is not part of placement.
Correct.
कि मैंने तो select कर लिया आपको, but what if I don't want to join? I'm looking out for something else. So he won't be called as placed. Place means उसको आपको वो place पे लाना ही पड़ेगा, right? In simple layman's language, he has to come to your place so that you can train him further. It can be right from day one you can start training him, but it cannot be done unless and until that person is occupying that position. Am I being followed?
Yes, sir. For sure.
So I want to add something on that.
Yes, please.
Sir, placement also could be how am I supposed to say, like an area, sir, or a branch or anything as such.
Yes, that's
right?
What I'm saying. Yeah, placement is the place actually. Let us take it as
the place, area, an area or branch.
It can be area also. Exactly. Good, Gaurav. Good. Nice. See, let us put it in layman's. बहुत बार क्या we unnecessarily make it complicated. Management is, if you put it in right perspective, it is very simple. It comes very handy and it will show you results. But unnecessary